Now there is. Hey, sorry, I forgot the mute button. Because when I start pushing buttons around here, let's do that again. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are and whenever you are. Welcome to the community live stream. Sorry about that. Nope, that was my fault. Well, that's one way to get some feedback, isn't it? Screw something up royally. I just started implementing the use of that mute button because when I listened to it on the playback, I was hearing this click, 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 click. And then, of course, if I go, while the music is rolling, you're going to hear that. So I muted my microphone, forgot to unmute it. Apologies. So good morning to everybody. Thank you for watching. Thanks for joining. You can see this on YouTube. Get your subscriptions. Yes. Although I suspect a number of you have been watching so many times, you knew what I was saying, even though you couldn't hear it, right? It's the same shtick every time. You can also find, let's see, I didn't do the YouTube thing, did I? Still my YouTube URL for subscribing is there. Get the notifications. Click on something. Click the like button. Click the like button if you find something you've learned, something helpful, something in this next hour that you think other people might enjoy. Just go ahead and smack that like button so that other people know that there's some good information out there to get. We also do this on Twitch. A number of you watch there. Thank you very much for that. And keep that going. I think I did a calculation. It's roughly 3% of the viewers come from Twitch. So that's awesome. Thank you, 3%. Let's make that 10% in the next year. Or just make the pie bigger. That's it. We'll get more people on Twitch, more people on YouTube, and just more people in general. Tell a friend if you find this useful. Say, you know what? There is some obscure but useful information out there. Chuck goes through the community, and you never know what you're going to get. This is completely unscripted. Every day is a different set of questions and articles. Every day I'm learning something new and want to share that with you, and this is the place where I want to do it. So good morning, Carol R. Good morning, Ed. Good morning, Rupam. Everybody's been so helpful. It is a wonderful, wonderful Monday morning, and I am so glad you're here to share it with me. Let's continue on. If you are new to the community, make sure I get that. There you go. Just some basic guidelines around posting questions. Make sure there's one question per post. Make sure you put it in the right subforum. Provide a context to what you're doing, not just the technical question, but the business problem you're trying to solve. What is the requirement? Did you ask the person, why do you need this? Understand the root cause behind this, because simply putting a script in place may in fact cause you additional problems. There is a classic example of this that I was just reading before the cameras were rolling, that Goran Lundquist, one of the very prolific people on the community, also makes some wonderful videos. I encourage you to go seek him out on YouTube as well. Goran Lundquist, and he had posted a question I'll get to in just a minute, but his real understanding is, yes, technically you can do this thing, but just because you can do a thing doesn't mean you should do a thing. He was looking down the road at what the impacts were. He was looking at, is it worth the effort of doing this? If all you're doing is finding out, is this technically possible and what is the cost of it? Great. That's a great use for the community. Frame your question around that. Hey, I'm interested in doing this. Can anyone tell me how much effort is involved? What are the options? Is it worth the technical risk? Is it worth the technical debt? Am I going to incur any technical debt? Those sorts of questions are wonderful. We love answering those because sometimes it's like, yeah, this is trivial. Put it in the default value. Or other times it's, this is going to require some jelly scripting. Are you sure you want to go there? Because, okay, good questions to ask and things you should know about as an administrator or developer on the platform. Because, like I said, and a lot of things are possible, but they're not always the wisest decision, the wisest business decision. And that's what your bosses are looking for, is not only can we do this, but should we be doing this? Okay, let's continue on. If you are an expert like Goran in the community, think about creating a post or, that little spiel that I just did is a wonderful topic. You could write a blog article about that. Just because you could do a thing doesn't mean you should do it. Okay, there's a series of questions in there that you may want to ask for. Best practices at being a ServiceNow developer administrator. Why I haven't written that yet, I don't know. I just keep preaching it on this video in hopes that maybe one day I'll reach everybody, but that's not going to be the case today. There's my expert tips for the day. We also have the developer community. I should have switched slides while I was doing that, but it was very difficult. Developer portal, developer.servicenow.com is where you can get a free personal developer instance, free learning plans, learn all about the platform, get that information, and start your journey to be doing some of these things that we're talking about, to explore some of the capabilities, be able to take it beyond just configuration, but to go into scripting and make your own custom logic so you can solve the more complex issues and problems and integrations and understand what's going on. It's a very powerful and flexible platform, and we want to make sure that you have that capability and that you're using it correctly. You can get that free personal developer instance, test things out. I'll probably using mine over the course of this next hour. Can't guarantee that I will. Sometimes I go there just as a reference. I go, what was that table name? Or what was the field name? Sometimes I go in a full half hour and explore build an application and try things out. That's the fun of this. You can blow things up and reset it and be back on your way in no time at all. So developer.servicenow.com. What else is out there? Scripting APIs. I think I mentioned that, so that you understand how to use these tools effectively, as well as developer meetups. Let's go to the Meetup tab. I'm going to do it with the mouse this time and put the Meetup title there. We have still 50 chapters, holding steady at 50 chapters. I think that's going to probably be holding through the holidays. But if you're interested, we've got developer meetups. This is where like-minded people get together and talk about ServiceNow, what they're doing, what they're building, what they're looking at doing, exploring. I've spoken at a number of these. I helped launch a number of these chapters. I would love to come to your chapter at some point. Granted, it has to be on timing and budget and all that good stuff. A number of factors have to line up. But if I had my wish, I would hit all 50 of these in 1 year. Don't know if that's quite possible because a number of them happen on the same night. It seems like every time there's like Minnesota and Tampa are always on the same night. Random example, but that's what happens. We have over 13,500 members around the world. We'd love for you to join. We'd love to have all of your colleagues join. This is a safe harbor where you can get together with like-minded people, as I mentioned, and talk about ServiceNow development ecosystem. There's no sales pitch. There's no recruiters. It's you and your group and your friends talking about what you like to do best and how to get better at it. That's the whole point, and that's what we want to encourage. ServiceNow supports it, but we certainly don't run it. That is up to our meetup organizers. So if you want to be a meetup organizer, certainly reach out to me, reach out to Dave Slusher, Andrew Barnes, or just let us know. We'll be happy to help. There are even a few chapters that are in need of leadership. I believe New York, Chicago, and the San Francisco Bay Area could still use a leader. There's a ready-made group of developer enthusiasts out there that are just eager to get back together and have one of these meetups. And all it takes is a little bit of legwork for finding a venue and setting a date and make up a loose agenda. You're off to the races. That's how it goes. So that's the meetups. We also have, what was after meetups? Oh, other events. Yes, other events that are available. You can go to servicenow.com/events.html. Find out more about Snugs and webinars and seminars and lots of great information over there. You can search geographically. You can search by topic. I'm often going there to go, where's my hotel next week? I can't remember, because there are a number of things that are happening all at the same time. And that's a great place for finding that information. I encourage you to go to events.html right off, or just you go to the main page and scroll down till it says events. Same thing. That's that. Moving on to Knowledge. Knowledge is coming up May 5th through 9th in Las Vegas, California. Hands-on labs, great networking opportunity, keynotes, parties, lots of great information. We are formulating fast and furiously right before the holidays so that we can get right to it after the holidays in building. I've actually started building. I'll tell you a little bit about that in a moment. But if you haven't gone, take a look at this page. Look at the call for speakers has now closed, so now we're going to be reviewing the speakers. Good luck, and thank you to everybody who has submitted, and you should be hearing from us shortly as we cull through those and find the best of the best for seminars and workshops and dev theater sessions. Lots and lots of good information. Let's see. Nope, that one's already closed. I already talked about that. Let's bring that back up. The Customer Success Center, I haven't mentioned this in a while, but go to servicenow.com/success. So no matter where you are on your ServiceNow journey, whether you're at the beginning looking at how to implement an effective CMDB, or you've further down the road and you've been through this a number of times and you want to make sure that you are ready for your next upgrade cycle, and all the patches and everything are in place. Customizations aren't going to be a risk. You can find that information there. Sorry, just closing an ad that is preventing me from seeing something on the screen. Darn ads. Come up everywhere. Customer Success Center is there. We don't have any further information or screenshot on the next Tech Now webinar, but that would be January 29th on mid-servers. I'm working on one right now, and not the Tech Now webinar. Craig's going to be driving most of that, but we do have that coming. Any code that we write in the session today will be stored on GitHub at the repository you see there with the bit.ly link. I really should have made a better bit.ly link. I probably could make a nice short one that's easy, but CLS was already taken. Anybody remember DOS commands? CLS was the command to clear the screen. That's what I think of sometimes when I type CLS. It's not community live stream, it's clear the screen. All right, that's the pre-roll. Let's get through it today. Good morning, Goran. Gave you a shout out, man. You had a good answer in here. In fact, I'm going to start with yours. Goran gave a good explanation. This is something I spotted just before the camera was rolling. How to display a list of incidents opened by logged in users underneath the knowledge article. I'm going to do a refresh in case this conversation has gone a little further in the last 10, 15 minutes. It says, I need to display a list of incidents opened by logged in user under knowledge article. I have script with which I'm able to pull a list of incidents, but not sure how to insert the script under that article. Now, the thing to remember is knowledge articles use a custom renderer, kb_view.do. And that can be customized, but it's going to require some jelly code, and that's what Goran came out with. He said, where exactly do you want to display this? Is it through the service portal page? If so, then create a custom widget and put it below there. The person came back and said, no, it's not in the service portal. It's right on the main page. It's when you use the search with the KB number, and then he or she opens it, I would like to list the incidents underneath there. And Goran, being the smart person he is, came back with two solutions, said, maybe you could just make an HTML link in the article that runs your script, goes to this and runs that. You could easily do that with an incident_list.do, !sysparm query, get their user ID, that kind of thing, and generate a list from there. Say, you want to see your issues? They said, no, I really want that in the message. The other option, number two, is go and edit the UI page. And that is going to be some scary stuff if you haven't done this before. Here's my developer instance. I want to show that to you. And keep in mind that once you customize this UI page, once you customize the UI page, you own it. We're not going to upgrade it on you. That is one of the costs of doing customizations on out-of-the-box elements like this knowledge article. So if I go to UI pages under System UI, using the navigation filter up here, I type in UI page. It is called KB_view. And how do I know that? Because if I go to knowledge, KNOWLEDGGGG, I can find that out. This is the story behind the story of where you go to find this stuff. And I say, where is it? Self-service knowledge. And I open up an article. I think I only have a handful. This is my demo instance. Underneath IT, here's an article. And whether or not you find them by drilling through this way or searching, you're going to get to the same thing. And up here in the URL, you can see kb_view.do, sysparm article, blah, blah, blah. There's all the information you need. Well, this is rendered. You can see this isn't a standard form. It's not a standard list. There is a custom renderer, and that is called the KB view page, which I had right here. kb_view.do says go run the UI page kb_view. And in there, it has a lot of jelly code. So there is some JavaScript in here. There is some jelly. There is some Jexel equations. It really can be a mess. And it's fairly long to do this renderer because there are several options on here. And if I were a betting man, which I am not, I would probably put this somewhere at the bottom to say, here is a list of your issues or your incidents. You would need to inject a gevaluate in here, a pair of gevaluate tags, slash, it's XML, and then put in the code to go find the records for the logged in user. And it just, if you're not familiar with Jelly, this can be a daunting task. And again, you're customizing it, so now you own it, and you're going to have to validate this. The other thing that Goran put in here, and I absolutely love this, is say, I would go for option number 1 since we are looking at both a lot of hours to do number 2, and you're looking a bit further down the road, forward thinking. It's not going to work with Agent Workspace, etc. Service Portal, no, Jelly doesn't work in Service Portal. Sorry to tell you that. 2 different technologies. And given that the next requirements here is to get it to work in Service Portal as well. So, love that answer. Gave it a helpful. Good job, Goran. Like the forward thinking. That's the kind of the discussions I like. Not just, hey, here's a script that'll make it work. that's getting people in trouble. If you want to learn more great stuff from Goran, go subscribe to his YouTube channel and keep an eye out for him on the community. Good stuff. Another one that I saw is, can we have a different instance URL configured in ServiceNow? This was created about an hour ago, and I wanted to pull this up because it was an interesting use case. It highlights something we came out in London, but I'm not sure that it quite answers the question. It says, consider we have ITSM and HRSM enabled on the same instance. Will it be possible for 2 different URLs for ServiceNow instance, not for the portal? Okay. My answer to this first came up and said, I don't think it's possible on the same instance. But you can see the configure custom URL page on the docs page. And that's kind of where I was going too. I said, you could use the custom URL. We have this feature in London came out that says, if your instance is typically called, we'll call mine chuck.servicenow.com. Okay, assuming my company name is Chuck and I have a Chuck Dev and a Chuck Test, you get the idea. Chuck.servicenow.com is where people normally go. You could create a custom URL that says, it.chuck.com or ihr.chuck.com. Now, effectively, both of those URLs are going to go to the same instance. They could both go to chuck.servicenow.com, and that's what I put in here. You could create, I'm making an assumption that the HR people and the IT people are going to see different menus on the side when they log in. I'm an admin, so of course I will see everything and way too much. But your HR people aren't necessarily going to see the ITSM applications because the ITSM applications have an ITSM role associated with them. And I can find this out by going to, let's go to the incident menu option. Mine is in dark blue. Little difficult to see my pencil icon there because of my theme, but you can see this, and it says, in order to see this menu, you need the ITIL role right there. So HR people are not going to see this, as well as the ITIL people are not going to see HR. So you could take 2 different unique URLs. It's the exact same thing as if you had a mail server and an FTP server running on the same host. You would point your DNS records to ftp.chuck.com goes to whatever server.chuck.com. It's pointing to some server. And mail goes to the same thing. And maybe www goes to the same thing. You can point multiple DNS records to the same host. That's what this would be doing with the custom URL. No harm in that. I don't know what value you're going to get out of it. You need to make that determination. So that is the custom URL feature that I have put in there. And of course, I immediately forgot to bookmark those. So I am going to pop those back up and put those in my notes so that I don't forget that we talked about them and mentioned them on the show. Can create link HTML. I'm just making silly little, I'll clean these up later. How to display, can we have different, copy, sorry, for the moment of administration. Clean those up. I don't want to lose those because I can easily go back in my activity after the show and find out what I commented on, what I participated on, but I can't always just pop up and say, what did I look at? And that's what I didn't want to lose because we did have a useful discussion, at least I feel we had a useful discussion on this. And here we go. Oh, I forgot to mention, if you got more than just a shout out, a hello, a comment, go over and post it in the community at community.servicenow.com. That's where we are right now. I generally don't answer questions in the chat, unless, of course, it's very simple and short, like, how many years have you been working at ServiceNow? The answer to that would be 3,115 days. As obscure as that knowledge is. Let's refresh this. Take a drink while we're refreshing. Don't know if I mentioned this in a while. If you're new to this, the community is actually running on ServiceNow. Has been since last February of 2017. No, 2018. 2018, sorry. Let's look for some unreplied questions, see where we can go from this. What is the use of sent to event creator checkbox in notification? Oh, send to event creator. Okay, I'm triggering notification through an event, BR after insert, GS event queue notify assigned to, current.assigned to. Here's what's happening if I am checking the event parm1 checkbox. Okay, they are sending to, assigned to, checkbox only, then the mail is not triggering. If I am checking both event parm1 and event parm2, it is not triggering. But if I am checking send to event creator, event parm1 and parm2, then the mail is triggering. That's interesting. I would think, so checking the boxes doesn't have any effect until that's checked. I wouldn't use event parm1 as a trigger in this case. So please check the below explanation. Oh, there is a docs page. Ooh, including an image is a little tough on that one. A URL would have been better with the image. I am going to reply and say, okay, if your main goal is to send mail to the, let's make that a little bigger, to the current.assigned to. They did say current assigned to, right? Yes, current.assigned to. Just use the, what is it, users and groups from fields? Where is it? Users/groups in fields. Users/groups in fields to add assigned to. I wouldn't bother passing it as an argument. The send to event creator means whomever triggered the event will also get the message. This may or may not be what you want. If I'm making a comment, for example, or assigning something to me, I don't need an email for that. I know I did it, and I know I did it. The email is annoying at that point. Da, 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 da. Hey, we get one. 25 minutes later, I'm answering a question. My personal London instance is not displaying new, changed, updated, and removed features in application modules. It's not doing what now? Do we have a picture? Let's find out. My personal London, just to check if this case is normal, my personal London instance is not displaying the new, changed, updated, or removed features within the application modules in order to study for the Delta exam. Whoa, did I make that too big? Boy, you go too big and all of a sudden the sidebar stuff appears below. It's almost like a mobile experience. Okay, so what's my answer? The 150 is the biggest I want to make that. Just note to self. Can you help me understand what you have added, removed, or changed? Come on, fingers! Changed. That is not working as expected. I'm not clear exactly what's going on. Did you activate a plugin? Are you looking for some sign that something is new in London? Because that doesn't happen. That'd be really interesting if the first time you went in, a guided tour designer would jump up and go, hey, look over here, this is new. But how would it know? How would it know indeed? How to configure schedule report in Excel dashboard. that should probably go in reports and performance analytics. Multi-dashboard message handler not working. Performance analytics micro-certification. Performance analytics micro-certification. Dinesh, one question, please. Don't repeat. You got it in developer community and you got it in PA. Makes it tough. You got 7 views on this one, 15 views on that one. I can tell you that you probably got more views on this one because it's in the right place, and you're more likely to get an answer, even though nobody's answered this yet. Seems good for you. It's bad for the people that are trying to reference this and people that are trying to answer it. Which one do I answer? Why are there 2? Both, I can guarantee you, both will never be marked correct. Linux CI identification. Let's take a look. I want to see. I used to do some stuff in discovery, so this one kind of intrigues me. Hi, our discovery process has incorrectly created a small number of Linux CIs and updated them with discovery data. Just wanted to confirm that I have the correct information regarding Linux CI identification/selection. From my understanding, the CI identification process through the following before either selected a CI or creating a new one: serial number type, serial number name. I checked the existing CIs and found 3. This is this is identification so that it can find out what's unique. I checked existing CIs and found 3 had a serial number of NA. For one of the CIs, I removed the NA serial number, deleted the created CI to rerun discovery, but the new CI created again. So what am I missing here that's stopping the existing CIs from being updated? It tries to match based on these criteria. I don't believe I have discovery activated on this. No, I don't, and I'm not sure I have it on my other instance as well. Let me look real quick. No, let me check one more. It's been a while since I've been on this one. It may or may not have discovery activated. This instance tends to be a little slower. Just make that a little bit smaller. Disco. Nope. Okay, I apologize. I can't do anything with this one because I don't have discovery on there. We also came across invalid serial numbers entry in discovery admin. This has NA not case sensitive. Does this have any bearing on the CI selection process? I would like to stay subscribed to that, so I will keep in tune with the conversation and keep going. Scripted REST CMDB integration. I like scripted REST. Hello, developers. I'm about to set up an API for our technicians to query/insert/update records in our CMDB for all our CI types, and I'm looking for feedback on the best way to do this. What I've done up until now is to create a new inbound web service for every new class that we want to interact with, and then set up a transform map so the source matches the correct target table. This creates a lot of new web services, and I'm looking for a better way to do this. What I'm thinking is one API for all CI types so that the technician submitting entries always uses the same API, but like a more user-friendly alternative, but that the data goes into the correct CMDB CI table. Is there anyone with experience of doing something like that? I'm assuming I still need a transform map for each table. But how do I trigger a transform map from a scripted REST API? Do you have simple example? How would you have done this without having a new web service for each CI type? Okay, I would use the resource, the path parameter? Path parameter. So you can include the target table on the API. Example, HTTPS yourinstance.servicenow.com/API/your/API/CMDB CI server. You could also do HTTPS your instance. Why am I typing this again when I can copy and paste from here to there. CMDB CI printer. Okay. I'm not sure. Got to think about how to handle the issue of transform maps. Transform maps. How would the transform map could be flexible enough to do the mapping based on the table parameter. If you're pushing records, if you are creating records in the import set, I forgot if it's automatically, I believe the transform is automatically triggered. So you don't really need to do anything at that point. If you don't want to use, let me just verify that I'm looking in the right place. So underneath, scripted REST, it's one of my favorites, but it is right there. Scripted REST APIs, we can, I'm going to take this example API, and I have various resources. So from a get, I can add on a relative path. That's what I was thinking of. Relative path. And if I add on a relative path, I could say something like CMDB CI printer for that one. Or you could do a query parameter, and it will say, here is the parameter for this one. That lets you limit it to just specific tables. Using this method, you would require one REST resource for each table. This would allow you to limit the number of tables the person can interact with. If they don't get the right table, they get an error on the API. If you wanted to make it flexible, where one REST resource does all this, then a query parameter would be better. e.g. HTTPS your instance API query table equals CMDB CI server. Now I forgot what I was going to write here. If you don't want to use something, I don't remember. Maybe that was the second thought. Yeah, that was the second thought. Okay. James says, could implement something similar to Stack Overflow where posts can be marked as duplicates and linked to the correct article. That way posts don't need to be deleted and search integrity stays intact. Could do that. I'm not sure which thread I was talking about at that point, but a coin for that answer. Let's refresh the list. It's 25 minutes to. You know what? I'm going to take a quick break, not from the camera, but from answering questions out of the community, and talk a little bit about something that I'm working on. Raspberry Pi. I have two things going on my Pi this weekend. One is related to knowledge. I'm working on a project for our CreatorCon Hack Zone, where LiquorBot shows up. We'll have a laser engraver there. We've got lots of other things. I'm working on an exhibit that needs to go work with our badge readers, so that as you go to one of these stations, you badge in, and it will do its thing that I'll get to in a little bit. But I previously interfaced badge readers with an Arduino, but the Arduino means you got to build pretty much everything, and there's not really that user experience for it. It's a great controller if all you want to do is send and receive and trigger and sensors and that kind of thing. But I'm looking more for a richer experience where I've got an LCD on this thing and I can display a video or instructions or interact with ServiceNow. So I need that Linux operating system behind the scenes on my Pi, which means I have to now learn a little bit about Python to interface with the hardware on the breakout board. I've got a GPIO breakout, which are the connectors to interface with that badge reader, but also do some REST APIs back to ServiceNow so that I can send and receive information. I can be talking to the instance. So I'm still on the very, very early stages of this application and use case, but the hardware is working and got that working. That was a lot of fun this weekend. It's always exciting when you hook up some hardware and you hold up that badge reader and go, yay, it's working. I haven't got it sending it to ServiceNow yet, but LEDs are blinking and bits are flying back and forth. So thank you for those who supplied examples in Python, because I am still new to Python. I'm probably going to be watching a lot of videos and reading a lot of articles on the intricacies of that. I know it's a fairly simple language, but I know it's got its quirks as well about the whole spacing thing, and I need to know how to interface with external libraries like the PN532 libraries from Adafruit to do that badge reader. Whew. Morning, Shane. Good to see you. The other thing that I'm working on is an extension. If you watched Live Coding Happy Hour, which is available on the developer portal, developer.servicenow.com, and you go to the YouTube videos there, or you can find it at YouTube/ServiceNow Dev Program. We did Live Coding Happy Hour on Friday, and I was interfacing more stuff with ServiceNow to my smart home. I wanted to turn some lights on and off at sunrise and sunset, so I used an external API service, REST API, to get the sunrise and sunset times for my location. And that was half the equation. Now that I have that, I need to know how to turn the lights on and off. Well, when you're dealing with the Philips ecosystem, Philips Hue light bulbs, I've got a hub, and the hub is inside of my firewall at my house. So I'm still not sure how Philips does this, because if I tell the Amazon Echo personal assistant to turn my lights on, Amazon Cloud doesn't have access to my internal stuff. That Echo Dot is not triggering these REST APIs. It's going out to the service, parsing this conversation, understanding what the intent is and the parameters, and then triggering the proper API. So how's that working? Somehow it's talking to Philips. The Philips app knows how to talk to that hub from outside the firewall. I didn't poke any special holes in it. So the hub, I don't know if it's like a mid-server where it's querying or it's polling or it understands events or whatever, but to do this myself, getting around this long story, I put a mid server on my Raspberry Pi because I want ServiceNow to drive this. I want Flow Designer to go say, when is sunrise and sunset? And at that time, I'm going to trigger an event to turn some lights on or lights off. And we do have, this is totally not supported, but interesting to search for in the Essential Raspberry Pi mid server. Okay, search for that in the community and you will come up with, where is it? The Essential Guide. It's usually linked in one of these. Doggone it. Didn't come up. I think it's a blog article. Let's search for just blogs. Forums, topics. Where's my blogs? Blogs. Nope. I found it before. Maybe it was just one of these articles has a link right through it. Mid-server installation on Raspberry Pi 3. It's not the one that I was talking about. This one actually has a link to the one I'm looking for. And that is not the wiki article. Mid-server on Raspberry Pi. There it is. The Essential Guide to Getting a Mid-Server on a Raspberry Pi by John Ulrich. Take a look at this. If you're interested in having fun, if you're that kind of person that wants to go download Raspbian or what's the new one? I can't remember what the latest release. Jessie? Yeah, Jessie. Raspbian Jessie, I think it's the latest one. Or Sprint. String. I can't remember the names anymore. They change them. You can go through these instructions. I found that not all the instructions are completely necessary. I got down to this part. Okay, this is installing the mid server. Go and get your mid server. You can download it. I used a web browser, went right to my instance and downloaded the 32-bit mid server. It was just fine. In fact, I had to do this again Saturday because it wouldn't upgrade from Kingston to London for whatever reason. So I rebuilt the whole thing from the ground up. Okay, unzip the mid server, get a uname, understand what architecture you're dealing with. Most, like my 3B, is that 3B or 3B plus? I can't remember. Will be an ARM v7L, and then you create a symlink so that it points to the right, where it is. Here's the sudo, do an ln-s, you create a symbolic link so that it finds the library by architecture type. I did not have to do, I modified the Java command. Mine was in user bin Java because I had a package for it. But Java 1.8 is the one you're looking for. The part that I didn't have to do was in the wrapper JVM conf. I didn't have an architecture issue. I didn't have to modify the x86 to the ARM process. That worked fine. Got all this going, and I do need to run a cron tab entry or get this thing to start on init.d so it starts up on its own. Completely unsupported again, but it is a fun little exercise if you have an interest in running a mid server. Maybe you want to play with Discovery. You could turn on Discovery on your developer instance, get your Raspberry Pi running as a mid server, point that, or if you've got a Windows machine, do it there too. Set up a mid server and do Discovery in your house. See what you discover. Or learn to discover new types of CIs. Good training if you want to play around with that. The troubleshooting, there's some troubleshooting tips in here that he's had some FAQs. I added a comment in here, don't forget to validate your mid server. Okay, this is a very important step that I hadn't done mid server administration for probably 3 or 4 years. Somewhere along the release cycle between Calgary and Istanbul, I think it was, we added a new step to validate. And people who have done this before are probably going, yeah, Chuck, this is old news. When you set up a mid server and you get the credentials and the instance on the mid server right, it registers an entry, creates this entry in the server table and says, hey, I'm out here. But that doesn't mean that the instance can communicate everything with the mid server. This was right before Knowledge last year. I was having an issue. I said, I'm sending out this REST request. It's in the ECC queue. And the mid server's going, is there any work for me to do? Is there any work for me to do? Is there any work for me to do? And it never saw that request in the ECC queue. It would pick up things like, give me your logs. It would do that fine, but it wouldn't pick up the rest. You have to validate. If this doesn't say validated yes, you go into the record and there is a related link action called validate. And right now it says invalidate because it's already validated. If it says no, that's going to say validate. And that simply says, I recognize you, mid-server. You're in my family. That's so that I can't set up something against maybe Goran's instance and say, all right, go. I want to start playing with Goran's instance. I can't just set up any old mid-server and point it at any old instance and expect the communication to be perfect. Okay, in order for him to send me something, he's got to validate that Chuck's mid-server is out there and talking to his instance. So it's just a two-way authentication. It's like when you create an account and then they send you that mail that says, please validate your account. Okay, it's kind of fun to play with these things. And Raspberry Pis aren't that expensive. You don't have to get the enclosure. You don't have to get a whole bunch of extra circuitry. For about $30 plus an SD card, you probably want a little, and you may have these hanging around, a nice 5-volt micro USB power supply. You can get it going. I do recommend some type of screen. They've got HDMI built in. I just plugged in an old monitor and a USB keyboard and mouse, and away I went. It's easy to do. When I'm done configuring it, I just want to let it sit in the corner. I can unplug the keyboard, mouse, and monitor, and it will run happily, quietly in the corner, low power. Not the highest performance machine, obviously. An ARM processor is good for many things. Kobe says, looks like I missed a good show. Well, thank you very much. Is there anything else that I want to talk about in the backlog? No, this one that I had from last week still hasn't been responded to. I did check on that. Great article related to validating mid servers. Oh, you got one. Unfortunately, you can't post URLs into the chat on YouTube. Okay, hey, we've got one in the mailbox. Let's check the mailbox. There's a response to a thread we were working on earlier. See what happens. What is the use of send to event creator? This came up. Siva, is Siva the author? I always like to remind myself, who is the author of this message? No, PP was the author. Let's open that up in a new tab. Easier to read. Okay, Siva says, the survey says, let's just say person A with email address a@fakemail.com logged in and executed the command below. Now, person A is the event creator of send to event creator. Okay, explaining what send to event creator is. I can see that even my guru Chuck has replied, but I will try my version of explaining this. Notification recipients. Okay. I think we pretty much beat this one to death. I'm not going to go any further on that one. Have fun with mid-servers, kids. If you haven't dealt with mid-servers, this is a good, safe way. I didn't want to do that. I want to go this. Good, safe way. You know what? I did want to bookmark that because we did have a discussion on that. Copy that. I didn't contribute anything, so I'm going to create an HTML link. Throw that in my notes. I talked about it somewhere along the way. Right after the camera stop, I will go through and sort all that out for you. There we go. What's new? Did I refresh? I don't remember. Let's do it again. So, anyone know if Discovery uses a program called http upload.vbs? We started Discovery and want to confirm that is the source. It's finding some Visual Basic application for you. If I remember my VBS, it's not Vacation Bible School. Enter survey answers for others. Hello, my instance has been down for 5 hours now. Probably not in customer service. You want that in instance help. That one's going to be an issue. Adding attachments through ATF. Oh, good question. I hadn't heard this one yet. Let's find out. Is there a way to add attachments in incident through ATF? 3 replies. ATF has some limitations, so I think we cannot achieve it right now. As ATF is in development phase, it's limited upon to from. As ATF doesn't support this, as of now below, you could have a workaround. You could upload your file to some record, and yeah, you could use a script. That's where I was going to go. Good job, Aman. Is use glide sysattachment.copy, and then you use the source table, source name, sysrecord, that kind of stuff to copy it. Other replies from here. And if we want to send emails from the incident form, can it be done or not? Sending emails, that's an interesting one. Is an email automated test framework? We were just talking about this yesterday at the car dealership. Bought a new car yesterday. And going to test, they were asking about different agencies, and I mentioned ATF, and this is what came to mind. Let's do global basic record producer. Just taking one of the demo records. Add test step. And although there's no search in here, we can do notification or email. Send request, send request. Nothing about notifications. Nothing about email. Okay, I don't think that's possible at this point. How would you validate that, though? You'd have to find out. That's an interesting question. If you sent an email, first of all, the nice thing about ATF is that when your test is done, it rolls back all those changes. So you can rerun the test. You don't have to have any cleanup for that. You can run the same test over and over and over again. If you triggered an email, it would actually send that email. Now, when it's done, it's going to clean up the records, more than likely from sys_email. But how would you validate the person got that message? How would you validate that the message has been created? That's an intriguing question. Can it be done or not? The emails would be triggered as part of business rules. So you wouldn't trigger an email necessarily as, are you looking to simulate a manually, simular? That's not even a word. Simulate a manually triggered email or one that is automatically triggered by a business rule, workflow, etc. Business rule, workflow, etc. I always have more questions than answers on these things. That's just in my nature. Okay, what is the use of send to event creator? Need script for mandatory attachment on service portal, business rule. I'm skipping over a lot of these things, not because I don't like you, it's because they've either been answered, I see a lot of responses to them. I want to dig in and see. Do you post your links at the GitHub as well, or just the code? The code is in the GitHub repo. The links will be on the community and in the YouTube description shortly after I get done with this. So if I go to YouTube, I'll take a look at one that I did last week, give you an example of this. There's live now, but here's the one from last week. Let's not play this one. In the description, you can see the discussions that I had. These are the topics. You could quite literally search these out, but they don't have links because you can't really do that all that well. They would come out looking long and lanky like that. The community, on the other hand, if you followed this through and went, oh, let's join the community discussion. Here is the community link for the video on it. These have actual clickable links on them, so you could go that way as well. Code for that is going to be in the GitHub repository, but these links will be available on the community since it's a community link and you can click through it and it does wonderfully. Let's make sure that this one is working. Works fine for me. So good question. That was, both of those were done by a user suggestion. They said, hey, can you post your scripts? Yes, I can. Can you post your links? Yes, I can. That was easy. And then I came up with a whole application to help me manage that on the side. That was actually on this instance. I think we've talked about this before. It's a community live stream. I have every episode since July, I think. No, every episode. I think every episode is in here so that I can keep stats on it. Complete with all the details. Here's Tech Now. Actually, I have some Tech Now episodes and the community, not live coding happy hour. What's the other one? Tech Shorts. Tech Shorts is also in here. But I paste the links in here. It creates a nice related list of them by text and link here. If there's no link, it just leaves it as text. From there, I easily post it back to the community. It generates based on a template, the nice output, paste it in there. So I'm not constructing this stuff by hand. That ended about a week after I started. I said, this is way too painful. And it's inconsistent. And I don't remember, did I say episode topics include or episode topics in this episode? What did I say? So now I have a template that does that. The GitHub repository will link to the top level unless this box is checked. Then it goes to the date used there. Once I know the community link, I post it to YouTube, ding, and it generates the content there. And then finally off to LinkedIn. So minimal effort. Tell you, I like doing this. I don't like the maintenance work afterwards. So I built myself a very purpose-built specific application for managing this stuff. I think the easiest part of this, aside from building the data model, the easiest integration I've ever done is the LinkedIn integration. I don't know why, but that was the easiest REST API I've ever built. Now that I think about it, I want to make another tweak to that application. There's always something, right? When you write your own applications, you always have another idea. Oh, I want to build it this way. I got to change that. We've got about 5 minutes left. Let's see what we can do with that. Let's make this useful. Script REST CMDB integration. I think we already replied to that one. Let's go back to refresh this page. And let's get any unreplied. Let's see if there's one or two more unreplied. Dell SC storage arrays. Haven't dealt with that. It's in ITOM, multiple dashboard message handler performance. I think we've already browsed through a lot of these. Where is the script located for REST attachment API? How to retrieve the request response utilizing the attachment API. Okay. What are we trying to do? How exactly does ServiceNow display the response of the request that is used in the REST API Explorer? Obviously, if we can know it, we can view each request that is coming in. So if somebody uses the API, it goes back to, it's not, the response is not logged on the instance as far as I know. It's obviously sent back to the requester, e.g. third-party app, as part of the response, hence the name. I haven't seen any APIs that log, scripted or otherwise, that log the responses, as that could be a lot of logged information. Consider that much of the UI is using REST APIs now. Especially Service Portal. Man, there's a lot of scripted REST, not scripted REST, but a lot of REST APIs that are being sent back and forth. And if we logged all the responses. Now, that being said, I thought there was a docs page. Did I not bring up docs today? I didn't bring up docs. This is the first time I've been to the docs page. And I thought there was REST debugging available, but I don't know what that includes. REST debug, but there's a property you can use. Debugging REST queries. You can debug REST queries by reviewing the session debug log. When the glide REST debug property is true, all REST processing is logged here. Okay, so we have the REST API, but I don't see that it's actually logging the response. There's the glide user, there's the session, processor, resolving URI, thread. Let's see if dot walking, no. Request header. Let's just look through what it's logging. Request header, initializing request, API incident, request body. Oh, okay. Request, how about response? Response, search for response. Spell response correctly, Charles. And serializing response, end of response serialization. Serialization done. So there's 3 down there. There's a couple up here. No, it does not log the response. It says what it's doing to the response, but it doesn't actually send it. Or at least not in this example. What was the request? I want to see what the request. In this example, it looked like they were doing something against the incident table. Processor, glide user, request. Here it is. Body, short description, test me. It's an incoming REST request. So, inserting record, incoming REST body. They put in short description, test me. And that's creating service result, insert request. Processing. No, it doesn't have any. It has the details of the incoming payload, but it doesn't have the details of the outgoing response. And that's not surprising because that could get really, really busy and really ugly. So that takes us to the top of the hour on that one. Apologize, I didn't have a specific answer for that. Thank you very much for joining. Let's do that. I want to remind you to click that like button if you found something helpful. If you're watching this in the community, click the helpful link. Let other people know there's something useful. You learned something, you found it mildly entertaining, you found something that's worth sharing with other people. Go ahead and do that. I appreciate it very much. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications so that you get that every day. And with any luck, I will see you again right back here at the same time tomorrow. Take care. Have a wonderful day. Bye.